Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I'm going live about now. Don't worry about the timing of today's stream. I am not completely changing up my schedule. I'm not starting to stream 6 hours earlier than I usually do. Today is an exception because today we are dealing with the new Galaxy event. I actually didn't know they called them that. I always thought they called Galaxy Unpacked. And I mean, they are kind of unpacking something in here, and that in there is mostly AI, like stars and bubbles, whatever. It's unfortunately par for the course with recent Samsung events. But yeah, that's why we are here. I have no idea how big this event is going to be. Supposedly Samsung's Trifold Foldable, which is a stupid name because it only folds twice. Is going to be unveiled here. It's actually interesting to me because I'm really like, I already hate Samsung's late in the cycle of processors releases for their foldables, which result in the flips and the folds to have basically a last generation processor for most of their existence. Um, and with a trifold, that might be $2,500, might be $3,000. Definitely in like the highest configuration. I don't know if they're gonna make like 2 terabyte versions of it or something like that. Like it's just weird if this one has the original 8 Elite, while the 8 Elite 2 or 8 Elite Gen 5, we've discussed like the weird naming questions about it in previous streams. While that one might just be announced at the end of the month, like just delay it until like November or something like that. Make it a cool device to be available during the holiday season, and that's it. But yeah, who am I to talk about this? It's not like Samsung has been wowing me with pretty much anything in recent years, unfortunately. That being said, we are here, and beyond the trifold, we expect things to fine out. And beyond all that, there will be like a Galaxy Tab and whatever. I am waiting for the actual event. It starts in roughly 25 minutes from now. Already looking at the chat, we have Riley saying bro woke up and decided to crash out on Samsung. Already responded to you in the chat, actually. Yeah, always. That's always my first priority when waking up. Like, what is Samsung doing and how can I ruin their day, basically? And we have chats from Jonathan James, one of our MarkTech Pro Max supporters here on YouTube, leaving a membership milestone for 2 months, saying, nice to be catching you live once, even at work. Okay, please don't get caught at work. We are safe for work broadcast. That's definitely true. I might say the occasional F word, but that's probably fine for most work. Yeah, but I don't know if your work wants you to be watching broadcasts at all during it. And also, Jonathan James leaving a generous €2.49 super chat saying, for your mental health, I assume that's a typo, for Samsung stream. Yeah, I might be needing that, though something tells me this might be both shorter and significantly less cringe than the last Google event, so I hope I'm able to deal with this fine. Let me actually, speaking of Google, let me actually quickly see if there's anything that I have missed, because we did react together to MKBHD's review of the Pixel 10 Pro. But like, is there like a camera comparison out by Supersev? Is there like a Mr. Who's the Boss review? Is there just a generally interesting review would be my question as well. I love channels like this. By the way, don't worry about the translations, even though I hate them because they confuse me which channel is actually English speaking and which one isn't. But like, you have the device already unveiled, right? And we know, for example, that the Google Pixel 10 Pro has one of the thickest bezels of any flagship right now. In fact, I'm pretty sure it has the thickest bezels. It's thicker than OnePlus, it's thicker than Oppo, it's thicker than Vivo, it's thicker than Xiaomi. Um, Maps joining the chat. Don't remember seeing you previously here saying, why do they copy Apple? Well, what we are gonna see here, it might actually not be them copying Apple, but I mean, there is so much else, right? And this is less now Samsung related, right? Right? Because I do respect Samsung generally a lot more, but like HyperOS 3, if you have noticed that, right? Change to English. uh, if you're just gonna see like the icons, right, that they introduced for HyperOS, right, they literally did even like the exact same change for like settings. uh, it's basically like doing a reverse Apple. They gave the phone icon, right, the app icon, the exact same gradient, and then for the camera icon, they actually went back because they originally had kind of copied like Apple's initial camera icon, like going way back, right? Uh, and now they actually went to Apple's camera icon that now was changed with iOS 26. So they kind of missed the boat on that. And then, of course, the Photos app, which actually makes sense, right? It was actually really separate. It was like a nice image of basically nature, like some hills, some mountains. Now it's the exact like flower that Apple is doing, right? And the Photos app, right? Well, I mean, there's only so much. The weather app, there's only so much I guess you can do with the weather app, I guess. But like, does it really have to be the exact same as Apple's? Like, that's not even funny. Come on. And yeah, this is the most egregious example. I don't think Samsung can actually copy Liquid Glass because Samsung, even right now, even with One UI 8, even like the operating system that brings together Samsung's latest and greatest with Android 16 and just running for now almost exclusively on the latest generation hardware like the Galaxy Folds and Flips. And soon it's going to come to the S25 series. So it's powered by like the 8 Elite processor and everything. Like it has at least 12 gigs of RAM to work with, and even there, right, Samsung cannot even make like a live Gaussian blur. I apologize if I mispronounced that. I'm a German native speaker. Well, I'm not actually not. I'm a Russian native speaker with German my second language and English my third. So if I sometimes mispronounce something, that's to blame on that because I don't hear certain words being used a lot in regular life, even when interacting with English speakers. So Samsung cannot even make that blur like fully live. Basically, if you move around like widgets with transparency underneath or anything, or if you have like one of those wallpapers that kind of slides under your icons, right? That effect, that blur of what's underneath, that's not actually gonna update live, but that's gonna be activated once everything kind of stands still for a second. Muhammad asking, do I recommend Xiaomi phones? For the money, I generally do. My problem is, and I do try to really differentiate that argument, I'm Putin's puppy. No, believe me, I'm the exact opposite. I'm from Moldova. That's in Eastern Europe. 1/4 of my country has been occupied for literally decades by Russia. So you might not find a more Putin-hating guy on YouTube in the tech community. Well, in the tech community, definitely. Well, I guess we do have some Ukrainians. And we do have some former Russians who hate the regime, who moved away from there because of that. But no, I'm definitely not a Putin's puppy because I speak Russian. Muhammad, again to your question, I do generally appreciate Xiaomi's hardware, especially for the money. Now, it depends on where you are. Obviously, here in Europe, it's definitely more accessible than it is in the United States. So I fully understand why there's like a big discrepancy between like American content creators, American tech reviewers, and how they will treat like Xiaomi or Oppo or Vivo. I do, however, have to say, and this is now again, if you have like significant money considerations when buying a smartphone, whatever, like you might be completely limited to $500-$600 or less. you don't want to buy used, whatever, um, then don't listen to this. But if you do have the money, right? I'm not saying buy Apple, right? There's obviously Samsung, there's Google, but I feel like that in recent years, Xiaomi has become so bad. Previously, I was actually way more against Oppo's ColorOS or Vivo's, I forget which one is which at this point. The names are so stupid, right? But I would argue that Xiaomi went from being just bad, but maybe being borderline acceptable at copying Apple. I just call this stealing, to be honest. To being just as bad and in some ways worse than those other companies. So while yes, from a hardware perspective, I can respect something like the Xiaomi 15 Ultra or 15 Pro or the regular 15 even, right? I'm less familiar with some of the like their tablets and whatever and their S series. So though from what I understand, it's basically just an interim version, kind of like what Oppo does with the T series. But if you're really interested in like a fair market, I'm not saying give all your money automatically to Apple, but try maybe withholding it from the worst actors. In this case, unfortunately, including Xiaomi, at least for like the last 2-3 years. Maps, Xiaomi is not very OS is not very optimist. You will have to elaborate on that, unfortunately. Or you're just saying you're not very optimistic about what they're doing with their OS. Because yeah, then I definitely agree. It's really weird how bad it has gotten, to be honest. Um, Just like Oppo and OnePlus, Xiaomi is giving you a way to connect with iPhones, iPads, Macs, and seamlessly transfer data. I'm wondering though, when is it coming to older hardware? Because we do have Xiaomi 15 and 14. Basically in about a month apart. That's acceptable to me. I do prefer Apple's like all-out rollout schedule, but it's okay. But like, really, do we not know when the Xiaomi 13 and 12 are getting this? I don't know. Yeah, but that's about my thoughts for Xiaomi. Then, when it comes to Samsung copying Apple, honestly, I think they're doing it in a somewhat acceptable manner. At least One UI 7, One UI 8 are like visually distinct from what Apple is doing. I might not be a huge fan of it specifically, but I'm not a hater against it. Like I might hate what we are getting here, right? Like copying the dynamic island basically one to one, and then putting a few new features on top of it, sure, but like some of it doesn't even make sense with the way their hardware is constructed. At least Apple has a notch up there, but like really you're gonna devote so much space to it even though you just have this tiny cutout? I'm not sure. Muhammad saying, currently I'm using a 14 Pro Max. I was thinking to switch to Samsung or Xiaomi. Well, the problem is, what is actually going to be like your experience enhancer when you're moving to those devices? Like in the past, I would kind of understand it because there would be like hardware features that are really, really exclusive to Android, like ProMotion, 120 hertz before it came to the iPhone 13 Pro. Super high resolution cameras, but now actually by default actually has the highest resolution camera because their default mode is 24 megapixels. Well, basically everyone is binning down to 12. And sure, you could force those cameras into higher resolution modes, but then it impacts processing, it impacts timing a little bit. In terms of raw processing speeds, like previously, I would argue that yeah, you would have like better cooling, for example, based on certain just the integration of, I guess, of vapor chamber solutions before Apple is doing it, but Apple is now doing that on the 17 Pro. I actually thought I might react to this before the Samsung event, but for example, the 17 Pro rumors, right? Now we are kind of in the latest stage, in the last stage before the actual event. I mean, the event is literally 5 days away. And now Instant Digital, who has a decent track record, is now basically saying that Apple is using improved cooling and larger batteries inside the device to have higher peak brightness. Now, currently, that's up to 2000 nits of outdoor brightness. I assume they would go like similar to Google, like around 3000 nits. That's kind of the jump they made from the Apple Watch Ultra to the Ultra 2. They're also promising more stable frame rates. That's just from better cooling. We don't yet know the exact like performance gains when it comes to the GPU of the A19 Pro. We've had some rumors about the CPU reaching roughly 4,000 points in single core and Geekbench and roughly 10,000 points in multi-core, but we don't actually have like benchmarks or anything like that for the GPU. And then we also have a larger battery, which, knowing just Apple's overall efficiency promise, right? The fact that they would have the same battery capacity as Samsung, right? You just know how much longer this is gonna last. And Muhammad, that you're also saying actually a very smart thing. I'm happy with 14 Pro. The point is, I'm not actually telling you to upgrade to a 17 Pro here. I'm telling you that in general, Apple is fixing a lot of the things that were universally, I would argue, better on certain Android devices. And that's something I'm really looking forward to. And after that, honestly, there's also like a redesign coming with the 18 series. There's an iPhone Fold coming next year, right? There's a redesign coming with the 19 series, but I guess they would kind of change the naming by then. I don't think that Apple is going to make an iPhone 19. They might jump over the 19 and give us like an iPhone XX or something like that. We have Rosa joining, saying hello, and Angelica, one of our MarkTech Pro Max members, saying thank you for the invitation. Well, I'm always grateful to you just joining. I'm happy with 14 Pro Max, except heavyweight and heat issues. I was thinking of 16 Plus too, but it has 60 hertz. Yeah, this is where exactly like the 17 Pros, but even the base 17, unfortunately, we won't be getting a 17 Plus. Are gonna improve. Supposedly, we are getting vapor chambers across the entire generation now. Supposedly, we're getting really good. Uh, we're getting battery capacity increases across the generation. So, and to your weight issue, we have already transitioned to titanium, but now the question is, if Apple is going to transition back to aluminum, even on the Pros, what batteries and heat and cooling capacity might we get, even with the lower weight of like the iPhone 15 Pro and 16 Pro, right? Which are both lighter than the 14 Pro series. We have Benveni joining, saying hello and bye. So I assume, Benveni, you're either working, because I think you're from the UK, right? So it's 10:20 a.m. for you. So I fully understand being busy. I mean, we had that already with Jonathan saying he's going to listen at work. So be careful, guys. Benveni, also one of our MarkTech Pro Max supporters, joining here. Now that I've mentioned it time and time again, I should probably elaborate to all the newcomers in the chat. You can support this channel directly via Super Chats or Super Stickers. So whenever you catch me live and want to throw me a little bit of money, that helps. I'm doing this as a hobby. The more you support me, the easier it is for me to keep doing this more and more. You can become a supporter right here on YouTube, a channel member. Shout out to Angelica, shout out to Steve, Max Maximus, and Jonathan. So, and this time around, we actually have 2 MarkTech Pro Max supporters in the chat. Usually it's just 1. And you can also go over to Patreon and join over there. Shout out to Benveni, our MarkTech Pro Max supporter over there. So, however, I'm also just grateful for you just liking the video, sharing it out, and commenting. I love interacting with a lively live stream, love getting to know new people, and you can also join our Discord. I'll briefly drop the link for that in the chat, because that's a big part of how our community is growing, not necessarily in raw size, but just in terms of engagement, just so you can learn who else is part of the community, what we talk about, right? It's, of course, an Apple-focused community, so I understand if right now you might be a little bit confused, given that I'm reacting to a Samsung event. How do I share this? I forgot how to share Discord. No! Wait, no, did I really forget how to share my Discord? Oh, invite members. That's just such a stupid way to label this. It's not like it's all, everybody is, okay, whatever. Share invite, copy link, and I'm gonna drop this. Sorry for that, guys. Some content creator maintenance. Yeah, Benvini saying you're working right now. Yeah, I fully understand that. Don't worry. And allow pace. Great. So we got a little bit of that out of the way. So basically, I'm really excited for the 17 Pro. I've already told you guys I am going to be watching the event live next Tuesday. I'm probably also going live this Sunday or somewhere around that, whenever Mark Gurman basically decides to drop his last-minute leaks before the event, because we are kind of very reliant on Mark Gurman here for certain leaks and rumors. After that, of course, I will also be watching reviews with you guys. And unlike last year, where I didn't get the 16 Pro Max for myself, because I'm still very happy with my 15 Pro Max, or at least I was, I will be buying the 17 Pro Max, so expect an unboxing here on this channel, expect a review on this channel. Yeah, so expect me to post some benchmarks on Discord and stuff like that. So I think we're gonna actually have some pretty fun time together. And Riley rejoining again, saying morning Mark. Well, morning Riley. For me, it's almost midday, so I'm fine. But yeah, I apologize to everyone who's used to joining at like 5 or 6 p.m. German time. Now, obviously, a lot earlier. But hey, I guess Samsung has the right to structure their timing according to Korea and not just the United States and Europe. So I'm not too angry about this, and thankfully, I do have this time right now. 3750 viewers, so nice for Samsung. I guess it's gonna become a lot more once the event actually starts in around 5 or 6 minutes. Let me check everything. Yeah, good. I always have, to anybody who's new, I always have my iPad next to me, just making sure that the stream works, so I can read your chats and everything. And if anything ever stops working, audio and video or whatever, let me know. So I'm definitely excited for the 17 Pro Max. I obviously understand some people are looking forward to the big redesign of 2027 or the Fold in 2026. A lot of you, I know you, Riley, are very much more excited for devices that will have next generation processors, by which I don't just mean A18 updated to A19. I mean bigger changes like the introduction of 2 nanometer, which is obviously TSMC's first gate-all-around transistor node. I know we are not getting that. I do have, what was it? Can somebody remind me? Was it $100 or $150 that I've basically bet on this, saying that we might still get a 2 nanometer chip from Apple this year, whether it's A19 or M5 or anything else. I'm waiting until like 31st, December 31st, and then I'm giving you guys a survey early January to pick from some charities, and then I'll donate the money over there, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose that bet. But hey, it's going to a good cause in the end. And keep donating so I can actually have the money to send to charity. Yeah, beyond that, the last big rumor we are actually getting from our government is not actually right now for the 17 Pro. It's kind of more a forward looking thing, which is that Siri next year is not just going to get the LLM version, right? So the AI powered version, while currently Siri is more algorithmic, I guess. But we're also going to get an answer engine inside Siri. So it will be able to give you some world knowledge answers. It's something that we have previously just called answers when Mark Gurman initially leaked it. It will be limited to Siri to begin with, but Apple could add it to Spotlight Search and Safari in the future. We might get to the why this might not be happening, because Apple has some attractive search engine deals with other companies that are now being allowed to stay, unfortunately. Apple has also considered creating a chatbot-like app for search, though it's not clear if that will happen. I assume that will be probably just to keep track of your search inquiries and whatever. I wonder if that would just work better. It's like integrated in the browser, but then that would need your own web page for that. So maybe an app actually makes sense. It's just the problem with Apple apps recently. I always wonder, like, will they make apps simultaneously for every platform, right? For iPhone, iPad, Mac. What will happen to platforms that don't have Apple Intelligence Siri? And yeah, I'm just really fascinated by some of the really complicated decisions, honestly, Apple has to be making right now, because these are going to be investments for years and years that Apple will have to commit to. They won't be able to just launch a chatbot Siri app and like never update it, never give Siri significantly better models, not actually like connected to the cloud, because with the cloud, it's way more compute power than you can get locally. If Apple could go all out and give us like iPhones with 32 gigs of memory or even 64, and it still wouldn't really match the experience of like a cloud-based chatbot. So, and of course, Apple doesn't like to spend those crazy like tens of billions of dollars that Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI are currently spending to make their chatbots work. Siri Search will include an interface that supports text, photos, videos, and local points of interest. That to me makes a lot of sense. Make sure that it all just integrates nicely into pre-existing applications, into pre-existing media types that you engage with on iPhone and iPad, whatever. So that, in my opinion, is Apple's biggest strength, just the familiarity that people have with iOS, with the design language, with pre-existing applications and services. Of course, the already bought-in customer base that uses anything from Apple TV Plus, Apple Music, and also all the free stuff like Apple Maps and whatever. So, and that's not even talking about the millions and millions of people paying for iCloud Plus to get a little bit more than that, those meekly little 5 gigabytes of default storage. The new Siri answering engine will be included in the Siri updates that Apple is introducing. Hey Siri, stop. You see, my HomePod was trying to communicate with us because we said the S word a few too many times. Apple has been working on a smarter, more personalized version of their digital assistant that was supposed to be introduced as part of iOS 18 earlier this year, but it was delayed. Yep. So, and Apple got a lot of flack for that, rightfully got some flag to even a lot of flag, and then unrightfully got flag like the company's broken and something is rotten inside Cupertino. But you can check out my previous streams reacting to that. Let's actually look into whether or not Samsung actually has something cooking for us. Because we should be just 1 minute away from the event. I'm not actually sure if they plan on having like, I don't know why they're starting at like 11:30, and I don't mean the 11, I really mean the 30. But I thought maybe it would like start like a 30-minute countdown, but I mean, more people are joining, would be kind of disappointing. Almost 7,000 viewers. Guys, we have to get those numbers up so we can get to 7,000 live viewers, because that's totally gonna happen, of course. And now that we're close to starting, audio and video checks. Let me know if everything is working fine. And of course, super chats, super stickers, becoming channel members, becoming Patreon supporters, and just chatting, just letting me know how you're enjoying the event, what you're thinking of my coverage. Let us enjoy this together. Let's get through this. Samsung Galaxy event September, sole property of Samsung, it's all protected. This stream might get demonetized afterwards because I'm pretty sure Samsung almost always includes some copyrighted music. So yeah, be generous guys if you can. Is that DFE? Are we literally just starting already with the product?
Hello, everyone. It's great to have you with us today.
Man, the streaming quality
As a pioneer in mobile
ass.
AI, we believe that technology should help your daily life and that AI should be accessible to everyone. I'm happy to share that Galaxy AI is already on over 200 million devices around the world. And with the new products we are showing you today, we expect to double that number this year.
Time is kind of running out
to
on
expand the reach of Galaxy AI, we're introducing our most advanced fan edition yet, the Galaxy S25 FE. It delivers the flagship experience of the S series, powered by leading-edge features in One UI 8 to support you throughout your day.
Nobody cares. Like
in July,
Jesus, I don't want to stop too much.
Optimize Galaxy AI for larger
can I not go back 10
with
seconds?
the Galaxy Z Fold 7.
Okay, I guess not. But like whether
and now
really...
we're bringing that experience to our flagship tablet. The Galaxy Tab S11 is a beautiful, thin and light
the cameras
canvas
look so ridiculous
where the power
on that
of
frame,
Galaxy AI and the precision of the S Pen come together to help you maximize productivity.
It all
and
just
create
becomes
with
so
ease.
Apple-like over
so
time.
So let's get right to it. Introducing the all-new Samsung Galaxy S25 FE.
Wait, might not get the trifold? Are they making an event for the S25 FE and
Meet
the tablet?
the new Galaxy S25 FE, designed to deliver the latest, most powerful Galaxy
name.
AI experiences to more people.
Is that like Scandinavian or something?
Building on the trusted design foundation of our S series, Galaxy S25 FE.
I hate it when they don't match the metal sides. And this is aluminum, right? This is not a titanium product. It has no reason to not be anodized, matching the color of the glass.
Blue and white. The 6.7-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X display offers a bright, immersive view. With up to 120 Hz refresh rate, scrolling through social media feels seamless and effortlessly smooth. But great design isn't just about looks.
This is still an LTPS panel though, right?
Enhanced Armor Aluminum and Corning Gorilla Glass Victus Plus.
It's not Victus
It's built to handle everyday life worry-free. Because its true strength lies on the inside. Galaxy S25 FE is your gateway to a true AI companion, offering personalized experiences that enhance user interaction and productivity in ways that feel effortless and natural. At the heart of the experience is One UI 8, our most intuitive, personal interface with powerful Galaxy
they just show like the weather. What's that supposed to be?
Galaxy S25 FE will be the first ever S-series device to launch with One UI 8, which will be rolling out across previous models soon. With Writing Assist, Galaxy AI can check spelling and grammar for something
This interface is just entirely copied from Apple's writing tools, which is even like a particularly great Apple UI. It's so weird to be copying something
that even help you edit the
Apple
tone.
didn't even do too well,
it's an
in my
AI
opinion.
companion that adapts to your needs, helping you communicate clearly and confidently, wherever or whenever you need it. And that's just one way Galaxy AI can work with you.
But why
Thanks
are you
to
showing
One
off features that like everyone
your
has
devices can now understand context as easily as you do by seeing what you see or transforming the ideas you describe into reality. That's exactly where Google Gemini takes it to the next level. You can now talk with Gemini about anything you see
I'm
through
glad
your Galaxy's
they're now
camera.
more open
All
about
you have
this
to do
being
is
Gemini
long press the
powered.
side button and Gemini gives you instant context-aware support the moment you ask.
Wait,
what is this? Pierogi? Did I pronounce that right?
It's pronounced pierogi, a tasty dish like dumplings.
Any sides to pair with it? Something light?
In the mood for fresh, the beet salad would be a good choice.
Sounds good.
Wait, why would I need, like, I get translating it, but like, do I need AI to literally tell me what to eat?
When inspiration strikes, you can turn just a few words into something visual. With VO3 in Google, a simple prompt can create a video,
Again, none of
helping
that
you
has
bring your
anything
ideas
to do with,
to life.
like, on-device processing, whatever. I guess it might be included, but like, I'm already paying for ChatGPT
It's a glimpse
to do
of what's
most
possible
of these
when
things
creativity
better.
meets AI.
And
The
with the
Samsung
occasional
Galaxy S
time
series
when
has
Gemini
always
is
been
like
famous
better
for
in
its
some
powerful
way, I'll
cameras.
just.
And the Galaxy S25 FE is no
They
exception.
have an 8
Every
megapixel
shot,
telephoto.
every video is enhanced by the next-gen Pro Visual Engine, which delivers intelligent scene optimization with unmatched clarity in every frame.
Unmatched
the
clarity?
Object-Aware Engine
Unmatched
detects
by
different
what?
subjects to optimize exposure and color to keep your shots
Like,
looking true to
what?
life. Up front,
Like, have
the
you seen what, like, the
12-megapixel
Pixel
selfie
A
camera
series is able
captures
to do?
sharper,
What do you mean
flattering
unmatched
shots.
clarity?
So whether it's a
Did you
video
just
selfie or
over-sharpen the
story,
images
you'll
and
always
call
look your
them,
best.
like,
And the magic doesn't
most
stop
clear
once you
ever?
take the picture. With Galaxy S25 FE, you get a powerful suite of AI-driven creative
you're
tools
just now putting the word AI into
that make
everything
editing,
and whatever.
enhancing, and sharing effortless. With instant slow-mo, you can relive moments in a whole new way.
It's basically just a
tap and
lot of
hold to
Galaxy
transform any
S25
video into a
features.
silky smooth slow-motion clip. Instant slow-mo intelligently generates new frames between existing ones to
I
make
love how
every
fake those
detail more
frames
fluid
look,
and
but
cinematic.
okay.
So your favorite memories feel even more epic. When you want to
If you record
fine-tune
at
those
60
memories,
FPS, you
Photo
can just
Assist makes
make
it
a pretty
effortless
okay
to move
looking,
or
like, 30
remove objects
FPS
from your shot.
2x slow-mo.
Generative Edit fills the space naturally, and smarter background analysis ensure every edit blends seamlessly into the scene. And with 10-bit HDR, video is clearer and more stunning than ever. But sometimes when you're filming, noise threatens to spoil a great video.
I don't even know how to react to this,
Audio
to be
Eraser
quite
can
honest.
step in,
At least
analyzing,
with the Pixel, it was
separating
so
the audio
cringe.
so that you can reduce
I kind
distractions
of couldn't help
and keep
myself
every
react.
word or moment
This is just
crystal
a
clear.
mid-range product getting a few software features from the flagship.
The Galaxy S25 FE
I don't
combines
overanalyze
powerful
the
hardware
iPhone
with
16e on this
intelligent
channel,
AI
so
to help you do more,
I don't
all backed by
overanalyze
reliable
the
performance.
S25 FE, I guess. Okay,
Whether
chip.
you're editing or gaming, Galaxy
is not a
S25
demanding
FE
app. What are you
delivers the
showing?
speed and stability you need. Its new thermal design features a vapor chamber
Ooh,
over
okay,
10%
I
larger
think that-
than the S24 FE,
Okay,
using
I
liquid
actually
cooling to
thought
draw
that
heat
it didn't
away
have
from
one
the
before,
chipset,
but I guess
ensuring
10%
consistent
is
performance
not bad.
that stays cool, fast, and free from slowdowns under pressure.
What chip
and
is
with an
it paired
upgraded
with?
battery, it keeps going, so you can too. Galaxy S25 FE packs the largest battery ever in an FE smartphone. Built to
Makes
keep
sense,
up all day
6.7
and then
inches,
some.
somewhat thicker
Galaxy
bezels than
S25
the
FE is your
regular
gateway
S25,
into the flagship Galaxy
not the largest
experience.
cameras.
It's built to help you capture,
Wait,
create,
are they not
and bring
gonna
ideas
talk
to
about
life
the processor?
wherever you are. Combining advanced AI features.
Oh my god, they're not gonna mention the actual chip. It has to be the Exynos 2400 then, right? It has to be something bad. Oh my god, this is horrible.
And much more.
Wait, and it's universally
Galaxy
12
AI
gigs
is
of
now
RAM?
in more hands than ever,
It's
putting
universally
powerful
8 gigs
tools
of RAM?
right in your
That's,
pocket.
so they're
But
gonna just
some
make it
ideas need
all
a little
run
bit more room to
on
grow.
the cloud.
That's why we've reimagined the tablet experience. Introducing
Wait,
the Galaxy
really?
Tab S11
You're
series.
gonna make that compete with like the Xiaomi 15 and like at that point like the Xiaomi 16, whatever? That's like, if this is like a $700 product, I know some people might compare it to like the iPhone 16e, and don't get me wrong, I agree that the 16e is not great value, but like at that point, just spend a little bit more money, get the iPhone 17, and get so much more performance, get better cameras without the telephoto, but this is a crappy 8 megapixel telephoto, it's not gonna give you a great experience. Ugh. This is a confusing product. And now the tablet. Now the pencil looks exactly like the Apple Pencil Pro. Almost. It's just more angular, I guess.
Now that's the power of giving your ideas a bigger canvas.
This has the 8 Elite inside,
The Galaxy
right?
Tab S11 series brings together a large screen, S Pen,
and the latest Galaxy AI into our most powerful tablets
Riley,
yet.
I kind of am starting to share your
It comes in 2 sizes,
annoying
including our slimmest tablet ever, the Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra, which is just 5.1 millimeters thin and weighs only 692 grams.
Nice.
And the dynamic AMOLED 2X display is not only beautiful, it also provides an incredibly smooth and bright viewing experience with up to 120 hertz refresh rate and 1600 nits of peak brightness.
Yeah, this is going to be way darker
At the
than
heart
the
of the
iPad
Galaxy
screen.
Tab
These
S11
are like
series is a
HDR
breakthrough
peaks that they're
3
giving.
nanometer processor.
Okay, so it
a
has to be
first
the
for the
8
Galaxy
Elite,
Tab
right?
family, delivering the fastest performance
It
amongst our
cannot be like an
tablets yet,
Exynos chip,
with
right?
improvements in CPU, GPU, and NPU.
Yeah, that sounds roughly
But don't just
right.
take our word for it. We've invited tech influencer and founder of Bored at Work to share his first impressions. Inabong?
Thanks, Nelson. Now let's take a closer look at the Galaxy
Oh,
Tab
yeah, you know this
S11
guy.
Ultra. Wow. I mean, this is super light, guys. It feels very comfortable to hold, especially for a tablet this size. I mean,
really?
Samsung has done a really
you
impressive
jeopardize
job
your
here.
brand
Now,
by
coupled
doing
with the
this?
fact that they've added quad speakers to this, you're going to get
What do you mean they
impressive
added?
sound,
This had like
which I
speakers
love.
forever.
This is a
Michael's saying, honestly,
14.6-inch
this kind of
dynamic
depressing there,
AMOLED 2X
canceling
display.
classic DeX
It's
when
just
you had
super
8.
vivid,
Yeah, that's
bright,
because
and it's
they
got
are
some
doing
really
the
rich
Android
colors.
16
You've got a
like
resolution
external
of
screen
2960
support, right?
by 1848,
and more
up
emphasis
to
on thinness is
120
exactly
hertz
what I
refresh
don't care
rate,
about.
which as a
I
gamer,
agree.
I
I've
absolutely
been
love.
happy with iPad
And
thinness since
this
the
is a brand new
original
S Pen
iPad
from
Air that
Samsung.
was
Now it's included in the box, which is great,
thick.
but I also
And then
love the
iPad Air
hexagonal
2
shape,
that
which
was
means it
6.1
feels more like a
millimeters
pencil
thick.
and feels
Always
very comfortable.
what
If you
made
like
me
to
worry.
draw or
Now we're at
shade,
5.1
this is great because it's got
millimeters and
better
much
tilt
larger
angles, which
products
means
that
you
have-
can do a much better job at your
I
drawing.
don't need this.
I also love the fact that this
Like,
doesn't
I guess
require
it's better
any
than, like,
charging
Jimmy
whatsoever, which
Fallon,
means you can draw
but
or shade
Jesus
as long
Christ.
as you want.
I'd rather better thermals,
Let's talk
bigger
performance.
battery.
This is the very
Look,
first
the problem
Samsung
is
tablet
with
with a
tablets,
3
you don't want
nanometer
to make them
processor,
too
which
heavy
gives us
either,
impressive
but you
performance
could make it
for gaming.
more. I
Now let's take a look at a
definitely
game
agree
like
with
Delta
that.
Force
And
Mobile.
they changed the notch, right? The notch was like wider.
Wow.
I guess they had the
Performance
dual
is
front
just
camera.
butter smooth.
Now it's a
Details
single,
in the environments are nice.
and I guess because
no
they wanted
slowdowns
slimmer
whatsoever.
bezels than the iPad,
Solid ray
they
tracing
just
effects
had
in
to
the
make
water,
the camera
which is
stick
nice.
out that much.
Okay.
Might as well at that
Look
point
at
then go
this on a
ultra
tablet.
thin with the bezels and use
Wow.
a cutout. This is
Let's
COD
take a look
Mobile.
at Genshin
COD
Impact.
My
Now,
M1
this is a
iPad
game I
Pro
love to
runs
play,
COD Mobile at
and
120.
once in a while I get
Same
stuck
for
at certain
Genshin
monster
Impact.
fights. This is one of them.
No
And
charging
here's a feature I
required.
like
That
to
means
use,
they got
which
rid of
is
the Bluetooth
circle to
features.
search. Holding
yeah,
down the home
true.
button,
Well,
I
they
can
did the
circle
same
the
with like
monster,
the S Pen stuff on the S25.
and it gives me details on how to beat the
Ultra.
monster, which is great.
Even
and
though
honestly,
that's like a much
a fun
larger
feature as a
S
gamer
Pen,
that I like. That's
why
included.
would they compromise on?
As first impressions goes, this is an awesome tablet. I mean, we've got 3 nanometer processor, quad speakers, stunning display. Plus, it's thin and light. Now, I'll be spending more time on the channel with this tablet, and I'll be giving you my
And
full
now
review.
it's an ad for his
Back to you,
channel.
Nelson.
That's so cringe.
Thank you, Inabong. As you've just seen, the Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra pushes performance and versatility, supercharging gameplay, productivity, and every task in between. Of course, no tab experience is complete without the S Pen, and the all-new S Pen was designed with a hexagonal grip, making everyday writing and sketching feel more natural, steady, and effortless. Let's take a look.
For over a decade, the S Pen has been a fan favorite, helping our
And
users
we keep
create,
now making
write,
it worse
and get
because
things done.
it's apparently a
But
fan
the
favorite.
S Pen's legacy is a story of continuous advancement, driven
not-
by the needs
That's
of
literally
its
not what
most
happened this
enthusiastic
year.
users.
What are you talking about?
At its heart, the ultimate
Jonathan
unspoken
Jane is
design
saying,
goal
I guess
is to
you're joining
replicate the
for
most
work.
natural
Viewer
creative
cringe.
tool.
I agree.
The
It's
pencil.
not as bad as the
So
Pixel
simple,
event. Don't get
yet
me wrong.
powerful.
Oh, we
For
mimic
ages,
the
pencil
classic
has helped people bring ideas to life. And now, the new S Pen gets a step closer to that experience. The next-gen S Pen.
Okay, let's see.
The new S Pen's design is crafted to feel instantly familiar, with a comfortable grip that naturally fits in every hand.
As opposed to other styli that what? Like hurt your hand. It's
The
2025.
cone-shaped
You could be
pen tip
saying
now
that in like
supports a greater tilt,
2020 when
giving you more
Styli
freedom
were
for
making
detailed
a big
sketches
like
and
comeback, I
expressive
guess,
strokes.
in
The harder you press,
Pro
the darker the
tablets, and
line.
before that, of course, the Note.
The angle of your
That
hand
was also
determines the stroke.
5 years at that point. Really? Like you cover like a
The
talking
S
point in
Pen's
like
internal
5
structure and
seconds?
materials have been meticulously redesigned.
How?
It's stronger and more durable than ever.
But you're not gonna give us any details?
The new S Pen blends technical mastery with human-centered design. Combined with the Galaxy Tab S11's outstanding display and optimized AI experiences for the large screen, the S Pen serves as your ultimate creative companion.
What does AI
seamlessly
have to do
transforming your
with
ideas
that?
into reality with precision.
Oh my god, this is so cringe.
The new S Pen is not only more comfortable to hold, but it also lets you draw seamlessly without interruption. With a simple press of its side button, you can instantly open quick tools on Samsung Notes or PenUp to give you quick access to a variety of colors and pen types to bring your ideas to life.
Okay.
Galaxy Tab S11 and the S Pen are a winning combination, which is why the S Pen
Say
comes
that with
included
more
in the
enthusiasm.
box. And both the tablet and the S Pen are IP68 rated for water and
Okay, now you've actually presented the feature that others don't have. That's actually very exciting. Okay.
dust resistance. As Jay mentioned, we're focused on putting the power of Galaxy AI
That's
into
something
your
that I
hands,
definitely
and
want
we're
Apple
bringing
to
the
copy
optimized
for the
experience
iPad, even
to
though
our
at that
flagship
point
tablet.
I wonder if the iPad is
Now
going to be
Brief is your
repairable
personal
at all.
dashboard, giving you an at-a-glance summary of your day to proactively share information you
this
need
is
when it
bullshit.
matters the most.
Nobody's using
Galaxy
this.
Tab S11 doubles as a device for AI Home.
Simplifying device management.
This is the exact interface that Apple made and then Google copied.
Large screen optimized features such as 3D
that's
map
not
view.
bad. I like this.
It's easy to see the status of SmartThings enabled devices, and
Though
Drawing
I guess
Assist
you would
is
kind of have
designed
to
to
copy
complement
this
you
into your
by creating stylized visuals. You
in-
can also take
into
advantage
the
of
app,
the
like
large
the layout
screen
of your
to drag and
apartment.
drop generated text or images across apps.
Great.
Since Google joined us last year at
That's
Unpacked
what
to
we
introduce
need,
Circle
more
to Search,
AI-generated
it's been
images.
evolving to provide even more insightful help. And soon, Circle to Search will be able to translate in real time.
Okay,
So
that's
as you
cool.
scroll through any app in another
You
language,
see, if you
the
actually
words will
focus on
transform
showing me
before
new
your eyes,
stuff,
keeping
I'm
the
giving you some
original
credit
formatting
where I
and
think
context.
it's deserved.
It's great for reading comics online.
I mean, the rainbow stolen effect
Today,
around the
multimodal
the
AI
edges
is introducing
really
a
not
shift in
inspiring
how we
me to
interact
believe
with
you're
technology.
Innovative, but okay.
Google Gemini understands language, audio, and visuals all at once. Just pull up Gemini and tap to share your screen.
Hey Gemini, looking at my channel stats, what direction should I go in with my next video?
It looks like your videos about tech that doesn't need to be complicated are performing well.
So appeal to a non-tech savvy audience?
Exactly. Your audience seems to really connect with straightforward
But what
tech
if
tips.
you like? No,
While you browse
should,
across
you
multiple
should do
tabs
what you
or
like as a
websites,
content
Gemini can
creator.
help gather
Especially if you
information,
have
compare
19
items,
subs. You
and
won't
share
like
answers
yourself
along the
if
way.
you follow AI.
That intelligence
Jesus
seamlessly
Christ.
extends from the screen into your physical world.
How can I improve this background for my tech reviews?
Let's start with the bookshelf. Try removing some of the smaller
There's
items to
such
declutter it.
good YouTube
lighting?
videos on
You wanna
that.
make sure
so
you're
many
well lit.
passionate creators who have actually
Gemini can see what you
shared
see
like their
through
own
your
experience. No,
By
ask
bridging
AI.
the digital
Let's
and physical
let's
worlds
completely
so
ignore the
effortlessly,
human touch of
it
this.
truly becomes the companion you didn't even know you
This
needed.
actually annoyed
But
me.
smart tools need a smart workspace. And that's where the all-new Dex takes productivity
new Dex.
to the next level. Multitasking across
Michael,
several
you said
apps,
they're gonna get
you can
rid of
expand
Dex.
your
Let's
screen
see.
real estate and multiple Dex workspaces. Customize your setup
Why
in a
not
way
just
that
have,
feels
like,
natural and
Why
efficient,
is it the Dex workspace?
instantly
It's just
transforming
like
your tablet
multiple,
into a powerful multi-screen workstation.
Not Windows.
The Galaxy Tab S11 series
multiple
isn't
homes,
just
I guess?
powerful, it's ready to work the moment you turn it on. With GoodNotes, Clip Studio Paint, LumaFusion, Notion, and other popular apps for note-taking, illustration, video editing, and organizing,
You can jump straight into your project.
Samsung is so desperate.
Whether
on this
you're working on a creative portfolio or you need to boost productivity, these apps are designed to simplify everyday tasks and streamline workflows. The Galaxy Tab S11 series is our most advanced flagship tablet lineup, combining the power of AI with an immersive large-screen experience to create the ultimate tool for your productivity and creativity. The Galaxy Tab S11 will be available from $799 and the Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra from $1,199. Both will be available starting today. And for some more exciting news, back to Jay.
Okay.
As you have just seen, the Galaxy S25 FE and the Galaxy Tab S11 series demonstrate our commitment to bringing AI to more people on more devices. Whether you're capturing a quick idea on the S25 FE or getting serious work done on the larger canvas of the Tab S11, Galaxy AI is there to help you every step of the way. We're leading the way in mobile AI. But we're still in the early stages. By collaborating with companies that share our vision, we're creating entirely new products and reimagining what everyday experiences can be.
No way.
We're also working together to create a device that understands context and supports you seamlessly in the background, enhancing your everyday life. We can't wait to share more exciting news with you as our journey continues.
Galaxy Rings.
So
Why
stay
do you
tuned.
need more devices?
Thank you.
Is it gonna be another humane AI pin bullshit? That's it? No trifold, no nothing? I thought I would be here for at least like 35, 40 minutes, not 21 minutes. Together with the intro, that's like just, what, 19 minutes and 30 seconds? Are you for real? Bitch, are you for real? No way was that the event. Like, really? A 20-minute like event for the S25 FE and the Galaxy Tab? Are people actually liking this? The comments are deactivated. I wonder if that's always the case or for this event. Are comments activated now? Still no. And I guess S25 FE videos are already out. So I guess there will be already like MKBHD or Mr. Was videos? No. Guys, we actually have quite a few of you watching right now. Let me know what you would like to see me talk about. Because this event was half as long as I thought it might be. S25 FE, I guess. Yeah, and they allowed them to even post this when the event started. What's this bullshit? Jesus Christ. Oh, even Zolotech, even like an Apple-focused content creator got like hands-on like 20 minutes ago. Trains, I just watched the event. Well, we all did, and it... Did you blink and miss it as well, Trains? This was crazy short. Why even make this into an event? This could have been a newsroom announcement. Apple has announced way more interesting. I always bring this up. Apple Newsroom AirPods Pro. Was it the original AirPods Pro or was it the AirPods Pro 2? Announcing it was AirPods Pro 2, right? Which, yeah, makes sense. That was 3 years ago, right? Apple announced one of the most exciting, one of the most refined, and one of the greatest wireless headphones in existence while in their fucking newsroom, right? AirPods Pro 2, which at this point have gotten, yeah, right, I'm crashing out. I apologize. I did not expect to be crashing out. What do you mean? Like, I thought this would be like, those are not bad products, and those aren't bad products. I'm not trying to, like, say, the S25 FE's value proposition is questionable versus, like, Android competitors, but, like, I guess the tablet is still kind of unique because nobody really does Android tablets these days except for, I guess, like OnePlus. But like if Apple can announce AirPods Pro 2 via newsroom, and don't forget this was during the pandemic, so it was a prime example of people actually were at home. They were ready to watch you. You could have made this a small pre-recorded video, but no, they released it in the newsroom and it was fine. It didn't hurt the product. It's one of their best selling accessories ever. Trains, can I ask you a question? Is it everything right now or is that another day? I think that's it for Samsung, to be honest. Yeah, S26 is later. No, S26 is later in 2026. It's actually quite easy for Samsung, right? If a product is called 25, it's coming out in 2025, right? If it's called 26, it's coming out 2026, right? So no, this year the only Samsung product left to be announced is their trifold. That doesn't actually mean that it's necessarily coming out this year, but I had thought there was a chance it might be announced. Like, I've seen like breakdowns that showed we would get at least like 5 products, and we got 3 exactly. We got the S25 FE, and we got the Tab S11 and and Ultra. That's honestly, that's baffling to me. I guess we could look into what SuperSaf has to say about them.
The Samsung Galaxy S25 FE is here. I've had some early hands-on time with it, so let's compare it to the original S25 and S25 Plus.
I'm still angry that he hasn't done a Pixel 10 Pro versus iPhone 16 Pro camera comparison.
And to answer the question, which should you buy? Now, initially looking at the design of all devices, they do look quite similar. We've got flat backs with flat armor aluminium edges, but the camera rings have been updated on the S25 and the S25 Plus. We've got
I was crashing out so
rings,
hard,
whereas the camera rings on the S25
for once, I'm not blaming this on like a super humid or hot day. It's actually quite nice.
The S25 FE is around 8% thinner compared to the S25.
So, okay, I think this is actually good because we can look at the tech specs later on, but like officially, I think the SuperSaf is kind of known to give us breakdowns. Samsung is making everything thinner. That stands in contrast to obviously some other focus that people would like to see, like, okay, we are kind of getting slightly bigger batteries, or at least we are at least not shrinking them down. But again, this is now versus Android competition that even in the mid-range is starting to give you, and by Android competition, I mean primarily Chinese competition, that is starting to give you like 6,000 milliampere hours, 6,500, 7,000. Now, I do agree with some people in the community that are saying that silicon carbon batteries are slightly underperforming given their capacity. I don't know if they have some other negative impact inside the device. Maybe they're blocking radio frequencies a little bit more and that results in like more power consumption or something like that. But a 7,000 milliampere hour silicon carbon battery does not seem to have quite the same effective capacity that the 7,000 milliampere hour lithium ion battery would have, at least roughly. Maybe there's like a 5% difference or so in expectation. But given all that, this is a less than 5,000 milliampere hour battery that will compete with $700-800 Android devices that have over 6,000. So I don't know why Samsung is focusing on making it thinner. No idea. Train saying, I've used Apple for like 2 years and I already know I'm switching to Samsung. What do you use, Samsung or Apple? Well, if you go through this channel, if you also watch in the beginning of this video, this is basically an almost entirely Apple-focused channel. We do not bash other technology, like Android users are very, very welcome in the community, Samsung users, Pixel users, Xiaomi users, whatever. I do have certain objections to what like a company like Xiaomi is doing by basically blatantly copying iOS with, well, with all versions of HyperOS, but especially now HyperOS 3. Yeah, but you're still welcome in the community. We do talk about other tech. We recently talked about the unveil and then some reviews of the Pixel 10 Pro. We talk about like more interesting products in the Android space, like the foldables and what it will mean when Apple eventually joins the race, stuff like that. There's plenty, I think, to interest most people, most tech-interested people. Riley, they made the battery silicon carbon, but only 200 200 milliampere hour increase because the rest went into weight and thickness reduction. Really? Is this a silicon carbon battery?
4FE, and it's also around 11% lighter. So it's coming in at 190 grams and around 7.4 millimeters, which makes it pretty similar.
Okay, but I mean, but wait. But why? Why would it be silicon carbon for that? I will now brief, but why is Samsung making things thinner? I think that's because they think that that's a big focus of Apple, and they honestly don't want to be left behind. And I very much think they're misreading the room. For one, the iPhone Pros are getting thicker. Even like the weight reduction of the 15 Pro was largely overturned with the 16 Pro because that one had a larger battery. The 17 Pros, while they might do some weight savings by switching to aluminum potentially, they will be getting larger batteries, they will be getting vapor chamber heat sinks, they will be getting potentially a more impressive, I guess, which would include the physical size, like telephoto setup, for example. We don't know, for example, if the Pro Max might get like a variable zoom with up to 8x or something crazy like that. But honestly, I don't know. When I watch Apple event for iPhone 17, I might get that instead. Well, feel free to join us because I will be watching that event live. Hit that subscribe button. I've also left the link to the Discord for this channel in the live chat. If you're enjoying the community, if you're enjoying my content, I think even as a potential Android user, you will find a lot to like here.
In size and weight to the S25 Plus. The S25 is a smaller device. It's around 7.2 millimeters and around 162 grams. Now, all devices do have an IP68 water and dust resistant rating, but we do have better glass on the S25 and the S25 Plus. Gorilla Glass Victus 2 versus Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the S24 FE. I'm not
S25. Oh, no. He also made like a generational comparison. iPhone 16e has a bigger battery. iPhone 16e will have longer battery life, but iPhone 16e has 4,000, not 5,000. So this is 4,900. The iPhone is very close to just like around 4,000, the 16e.
Exactly sure how much more durable that's going to make the S25 and the S25 Plus, but they do get this advantage here. And we also get more color options on
Guys, we're about an hour into the stream. If you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this. Like the video, share it out with anybody who you think might enjoy this, and comment live. Let me know your opinions, your agreements, your disagreements. Ask me questions. Have debates with me if you feel like it. You can also support me directly via super chats or super stickers right in the live chat. Trains saying I subscribed. Well, that was fast. I think with the video delay, you actually didn't hear me calling that out. But you can also become a channel member right here on YouTube or support over on Patreon. You can find the links for all of that in the description of this channel.
S25 and the S25 Plus. So the default color options are the navy, icy blue, the mint, and the silver shadow. But we do have some Samsung exclusives, which you can get from Samsung.com.
So you can already see just like how attention to detail kind of goes away.
Which you can get from Samsung.com.
On cheaper devices. Because here they actually matched the aluminum color to the glass. I'm actually pretty certain that they match the rings as well, or they might just be reflecting the color. I hate how Samsung treats their camera rings. It's very unpredictable. It's very non-attention to detail, but this is the regular ones, right? The S25 and S25 Plus. And now we, of course, saw how similar colors are being treated worse than the S25 FE, even though they literally have the metal and the anodization process to give us a properly color-matched glass and aluminum device.
The icy blue, the mint, and the silver shadow. But we do have some Samsung exclusives, which you can get from Samsung.com with my...
I hate that so much. I hate the Samsung exclusive shit through their website. Just give us those colors. If those are more fun, more interesting products, right? Kind of how Apple almost treats like the base level iPad. Do that. Give us a lot of colors. Make it fun.
Affiliate link down in the description
below. Make this more attractive.
And there you can also get a blue, black, a coral red, as well as a pink gold. The S25 FE just comes in 4 colors.
Yeah, you can see no color match. Like it's just the same aluminum frame. It's no color matching on the camera rings, but hey, at least the camera rings look pretty subtle here.
Navy, an icy blue, a jet black, as well as a white.
That is not jet black. I don't give a fuck. This is a matte black. This is not jet black in any fucking way.
Now, the navy color is lighter compared to what we have on the S25 and the S25.
This was one of their greatest colors. It's not exactly the same as on the Fold and Flip, but I love the blue on the Fold and Flip. Why not do this? It's literally one of your biggest strengths this year.
And it also doesn't have a color matched frame compared to what we have on the S25 and the S25 Plus. Now, another area where we do get an advantage on the S25 and the S25 Plus is when it comes to the displays. So all devices have a dynamic AMOLED 2X technology, but the S25 and the S25 Plus do have LTPO technology, which means they can go from 1 to 120 Hertz.
So that answers one of my questions, unfortunately. Also, peak brightness, unfortunately, on the S25 is really not 2600 nits.
For FE, whereas the S25...
I do that all the time on this channel, but I guess I'll do it again, no matter how boring that makes my content. But like... I think for brightness test, GSM Arena is the best website. S25 Plus. I guess I could go with the Ultra because that one has pretty much the same peak brightness. Display battery life. Where is it? Yeah, 1400. So those 2600, that's like for 1% of the screen in like HDR. It has nothing to do with outdoor brightness. And before you say this is like testing wrong, see how it matches like Apple's roughly 2000 nits prediction. See how it lines up very well with like the Pixel 9 numbers. Just have to find it. Right, 2400. So yeah, this is not them having bad methodology. This is Samsung screwing up by repeatedly using outdated screens, even though Samsung is, of course, the premier OLED manufacturer of the world. And I believe the S26, or I don't know if it's just going to be the Ultra. I hope it's going to be the entire lineup. But I hope that will finally allow us to move away from fucking 8-bit panels. I don't even know why that panel technology in the S25 Ultra, which is roughly equivalent to the panel technology in the 15 Pro, is even 8-bit, because the 15 Pro is not 8-bit, it's 10-bit. I guess Samsung makes good displays, but really shitty display controllers or something like that? No idea. Samsung is still in developing mode for their phones. Well, Samsung is always trying to chase something that is confusing them. With Chinese manufacturers, I can just tell you, they will chase like more, right? Larger batteries, larger vapor chambers, whatever. And they will focus significantly less on quality of life stuff, like good speakers, good haptics, good microphones even. They won't give you crap, but for example, when you look at the Vivo X200, a phone that is largely praised for a lot of its great functionality, and then you look even at the Vivo X200 Ultra, you'll find that it has like amazing big cameras, really large sensors, a lot of stuff that's really easy to put onto like a marketing sheet, right? Like for tech specs. But then the speakers are really, really underwhelming. The microphones are okay. The haptics are bad. Like out of all the Chinese manufacturers, OnePlus is kind of the only one that made good haptics, like a marketing point for themselves. But I guess that's because they really, really wanted to compete with Apple on that front. Yeah, I think that like the current obsession with thinness, is the camera the same? I guess we can check it out. S24 FE. What were the camera specs here? 50 megapixel, 8 megapixel, and 12. By the way, just so you know, just like showing you, this is a 3x optical camera. It's a 1 by 4.44 1 by 4.4 inch sensor. This is ridiculously small, and it's not paired with like the best OIS like Apple's 5x telephoto is. 12 megapixel at 1 by 3.0. I assume that should be roughly the same. GSM Arena once again. They usually have like the correct text points right away. I'm not sure if Samsung actually like puts this. Yeah, so the S25 FE has the Exynos 2400. So does that mean it's gonna be, yeah, it's 8 gigs of RAM. It's not gonna run basically any new AI feature on device. Why even pair it with 512 gigabytes of storage? Who the fuck is going to use it that way? Riley, I cannot see proof for your silicon carbon battery. It's LTPS 50 megapixel f1.8, 12 megapixel f2.2. Yeah, this sounds roughly the same cameras, unfortunately. Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.4. Wait, what are these prices? Well, okay, so the euro prices are being converted to dollar. That is not how you do that, because the euro prices include usually a 19 or even sometimes slightly higher % value added tax. 750, I mean, I guess that makes it technically a better value than the iPhone 16e, but man, I wouldn't buy an Android device with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage for that price. That's ridiculous. Who's going to run mobile games on a crappy thing? Yeah, the problem is I'm not specifically asking for more performance because I want it specifically to be a gaming phone. Though you could argue that including a vapor chamber kind of markets it as that. But this is a 4-nanometer part, so I'm not always asking for the highest end part for raw performance. Very often I try to focus on efficiency. And this is a Samsung 4-nanometer, right? This is not TSMC N4P or something like that. This is Samsung, like, bro, we got the last thing we could out of FinFET nodes, and it's really not great. It's more comparable to TSMC's 6-nanometer node, which is like at this point really not used in any kind of device like this for this price point. And then 8 gigs of RAM. Again, this is Android. We can argue, oh, Apple should include more memory. And I absolutely agree. I think even the iPhone 17 base model should come with 12 gigs of RAM, not just the Pros. I agree with the criticism towards Apple here. But iOS is way more RAM efficient than Samsung. How thin is it? They must have... 7.4 millimeters, and the previous one was, I mean, it's 8% thinner, so it's roughly 10%. So I guess it's what, 8.1 or something like that. Features, battery. Okay, so we got 200 milliampere hours more. 200. Wait, the last one was 213 grams. Wow, that one. That's a heavy device, Jesus. And yeah, the last one was 8 millimeters. So the last one was 8, this one is 7.4. Again, this is not an experience-changing difference in thickness. I guess it's interesting that they included like a larger battery and larger vapor chamber. That's admirable alongside the thinner product. But now I wonder, what about other components? Are the stereo speakers just as good? Why not give us slightly larger cameras? Because again, small for an ultra wide, most are like 1 by 2.55. Super small for a telephoto. A lot are like 1 by 3 inches. Okay, I mean, this is about the same size as the iPhone 16 uses for its main camera, and definitely larger than what like the iPhone 16e uses. But man, this is not a well-balanced product. I guess the RAM was just one thing where they could save money, but really, Jesus Christ, it's such a weird product.
24 FE can only go between 60 and 100.
That might be a big plus point for the upcoming iPhone 17. There's still not 100% certainty or whether it's a full-on LTPO that might go between 1 and 120 hertz, or maybe something like what the 13 Pro did, like between 10 and 120 hertz. Maybe Apple won't give it like always on display functionality or something like that. But this also sucks now in comparison to quite a few Androids in that price range. In fact, it sucks versus the regular Galaxy S25 that's pretty regularly discounted to this price level.
20 Hz. This will make the S25 and the S25 Plus more efficient. The S25 and the S25 Plus also have a higher peak brightness at 2600 nits versus the 1900 nits on the S25.
And again, that brightness level has nothing to do with the actual peak brightness. I've showed you the brightness for the S25. What about actually the S24 FE? What about its like full screen brightness, like its actual outdoor usable brightness potentially? Okay, so a little bit even below like the 1400. Jesus Christ. Again, this is a base iPhone. This is not the Pro. I mean, granted, it's the Plus, but the regular one gives you the same brightness. Thanks, Mark, for providing me advice. I need to go. Well, thank you so much, Trains, for joining today live and for subscribing. Hope you'll find new, more enjoyable stuff on this channel down the line as well. Have a good day. I don't think that I'll be streaming for that long today either. Like maybe it will come out to like a 2-hour stream or something like that. Let's keep watching.
FE, which is an improvement compared to the S24 FE, but not compared to the S25 and the S25 Plus. Now this may not matter to you, but although the S25 FE now has slightly smaller bezels compared to last year's S24 FE,
it's still uneven, right? It still has a chin. Though I will say this is a small enough of a chin where I usually don't complain too much. Again, if this product was like not so compromised in other ways, I would actually say, oh, this is a smart way to like save some money and to make it slightly less appealing than the than like the regular S25 models. But unfortunately, it is a compromise on top of other compromises in an industry that's soon gonna be like populated by like Chinese devices at $700-800, powered by processors that are 40, 50, 60% more powerful and like 30, 40, 50% more energy efficient.
We still do get a little bit of a chin. So the bottom bezel is slightly larger compared to the other bezels. As I said, that might not matter to you, but it's something that I do have to mention. Whereas on the S25 and the S25 Plus, you do get uniform bezels. Now, the S25 Plus also gets a high resolution Quad HD Plus, so things are going to be sharper
so
on the S25 Plus compared to the S25 and the S25 FE. Now, we have some improvements for the cameras on the S25 FE compared to the S24 FE.
Really?
So we now have 20% more resolution for the selfie camera.
Yeah, the selfie camera is actually one I didn't check. Michael saying Samsung desperately needs a new design for their phones. The functionality have the same camera bump since the S20. Yeah, they did try like different things in the meantime for like the Ultras, especially when they had like those crazy 10x zooms that they turned into like 100x zooms and stuff like that. But now they're all the same. I have to say, I like their camera bumps in general. I definitely like them more than those crazy circular arrangements on certain Chinese devices. But it is weird that it looks exactly the same between basically all variants, right? That basically, on the Ultra you get like more cameras in that corner, but functionally like the S25 FE visually will not be that distinct from an S25 Plus.
12 megapixels, and the results do look good. And for the rear-facing cameras...
I hate when people say stuff like that. Oh, I tested it with like studio lights around me. The results look good. Like, in what year do we live in? Is it like 2014 where like selfie cameras like are almost useless in slightly challenging scenarios? Of course it's gonna look okay. It's not like you actually provided us any valuable data, whether it's actually better than last generation, how it compares to other smartphones. That's, of course, even to say that now that the iPhone 17 is jumping to a 24-megapixel selfie camera. So yeah, that was a pretty worthless comment.
We have a 12-megapixel ultra-wide, a 50-megapixel primary, as well as an 8-megapixel telephoto camera.
I don't like how he mentions that. Like, yeah, you should mention like the sensor size and stuff like that.
Now, if we compare this to the S25 and the S25 Plus, although for the specs, things seem similar, the ultra-wide camera on the S25 and the S25 Plus is a larger size sensor, so you can get better ultra-wide images. The primary camera is roughly about the same. Yeah. And although all devices have a 3x optical zoom and a 30x space zoom, the S25 and the S25 Plus
it really struggles with that light. Is that like universal for Samsung's current HDR pipeline, or is that like an issue with the sensor, or is that an issue with the optics, or is it an issue with like the Exynos 2400's image signal processor?
Have a high resolution at 10 megapixels for the optical zoom camera. So the S25 FE does have pretty decent cameras, but they're just not going to be exactly at the standard.
And again, by what standard? Are we just saying, oh, they're not literally trash? I mean, the telephoto kind of is. Like, it's going to become instantly useless the second it gets a little bit darker outside.
The S25 and the S25 Plus. Now, one of the biggest differences that we have on the S25 FE compared to the S25 and the S25 Plus is when it comes to performance. Yeah. Because
did he
the
run
S25
a benchmark?
and the S25
I mean,
Plus
we do already know the Exynos 2400 isn't great,
but Galaxy. They also come with 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM. The S25 FE comes with last year's Samsung Exynos 2400. Now, this is not a bad chip, and it's definitely capable.
I mean, it kind of is. This is wrong. This is wrong. What the fuck? The 8 Elite, even on the small one, gives you 2800, 2900 in single core. And like close to 10,000 in multi-core. I guess that one might be the most impacted by thermal limitations occasionally, but like single core performance really shouldn't be impacted. This is a wrong benchmark. So this is not 20% faster. This is 40% faster. He should have known that when he was testing it.
This is the chip that we had on last year's S24 and the S24 Plus. So if we compare the benchmarks of the S24 FE to the S25 and the S25 Plus.
That's also not even to mention, obviously, like big discrepancies in gaming performance, not just from the raw performance, but also from optimization. Qualcomm, the Adreno GPUs just get way better optimization. And now a big question mark with the memory amount, especially like, I don't know, like again, I know Apple uses 8 gigs of RAM. I know Apple does some on-device AI stuff with 8 gigs of RAM. That's Apple. That's how they've always operated. They've always outperformed expectations when it comes to memory utilization. You can argue that they push it too far, like giving, for example, the M3 generation iPads, the M3 generation Macs and iPads still only 8 gigs of RAM, or even worse, in my opinion, given the M4 iPad Pro 8 gigs of RAM in its base configuration. That being said, they still perform pretty well. 8 gigs of RAM on Android is not great at all. Combine that with not the most efficient chip, like they will have to run basically all AI stuff in the cloud for this one, which is, at that point, it's not even really Galaxy AI. It's just like a repackaged version of Gemini integrated in a few Samsung apps.
A significant difference. Now, this may not matter to you in your day-to-day, but when you're doing more intensive tasks, and also for the lifespan of the device, the S25 and the S25 Plus will last you longer compared to...
Yeah, this will get way fewer software. Like, does Samsung commit to the same 7, like, Android version updates? No way, right?
S25 FE. And that brings me on to the software, because the good thing is that all devices do have 7 generations of OS
yeah,
updates.
Okay, so the S25 and S20 Plus, they are very soon getting Android 16 and One UI 8, so it's not really a differentiating factor. Also, again, the Galaxy AI suite of features is going to be different, especially when it comes to differentiating what runs on device versus what doesn't.
And 7 years of security updates promised by Samsung. This is the best that you're going to get on Android.
7 years of security updates.
The advantage that you get on the S25 FE at this point in time is that it's going to come with Android 16 and One UI 8 out of the box. The S25 and the S25 Plus have Android 15 and One UI 7 at the time of this video.
Yeah, but
we will be getting an update to Android 16 and One UI 8, but that's going to be in the next few months. One area where we've got the same features across devices is when it comes to Samsung Galaxy AI. So the S25 FE has the full fat Galaxy AI experience. So you've got everything from call assist, writing assist, interpreter.
I do have a problem though, because with iPhones and, for example, Trains, you talked about, I know Trains is gone now, but Trains talked about like, Trains 101, talked about like how the iPhone 14, he has like an iPhone 14 Pro and he's thinking of transitioning eventually, maybe not this year or whatever, and maybe switching to Samsung. But think about it. How much worse are you getting like a flagship from Samsung? What happens to the treatment of your flagship in just a year? And think what happens in 2 years, what happens in 3 years, right? Because right now, Samsung fully prioritized the S25 for One UI 8 development. There is some inkling that the S24 will not be too far behind because they're testing it in betas as well. But what then about S23, S22? And what will happen with like the S24 next year, right? Because it will be probably the same thing. The current flagship is getting all the priority in beta testing. Last gen flagship, which at that point will be the S25, is somewhat close behind. But what happens with devices that are 2-3 years old? What happens with flagship lineups like the S24 series, for example, that are split between a Snapdragon chip and an Exynos chip? They have the same promise of software updates. Does one get it later? Do the Snapdragon enabled devices get basically the wrong end of the shaft because they have to wait until Samsung can actually also optimize it for the Exynos variants? What will happen once they reintroduce Exynos to the lineup? Because that's a big rumor with the Exynos 2600. Now, the Exynos 2600, in terms of raw performance, looks pretty promising. I'm not denying that. It showed up in Geekbench with like 3,300 points in single core, 11,000 points in multi-core. But now that's another fragmentation in software development because they have different CPU cores, they have different GPU cores, they have pretty different neural engines at that point, or AI engines or TPUs or whatever you want to call them, right? That's a pretty disappointing promise for years and years to come. And Samsung is not even compensating for any of that by making their devices like super forward, like future forward. Like they don't have the best cooling of any Android device. They don't even close have the best battery life. It's really disappointing because Samsung is charging top dollar. If this was matching a lot of Android competitors with similar hardware, but then gave you those Samsung advantages, I would be all for it. But that would have to make it like $100 cheaper, maybe $150 cheaper.
Notes assist, transcript assist, browsing assist, photo assist, drawing assist, audio eraser, now brief. All of these things are included on the S25 FE as we've got on the S25 and the S25 Plus. Now for the batteries and charging, the S25 FE has the same size battery as the S25 Plus, 4,900 milliamps. We do have a smaller battery.
I actually want to test to look it up on Samsung's website because Riley dropped in the chat that this might be a silicon carbon battery. Samsung 25 FE tech specs. GSM Arena is above Samsung. Wait, did Samsung not put it on the, because that's their newsroom. That's not the actual like Samsung.com simply. I want to switch this to English because this is an English-focused channel. And I hate it when I type in .com, it just still automatically jumps to English. Yeah, give me American English, why not? Samsung and cookies. Sure, I'll even accept your cookies. Hope they're delicious. S25FE. There it is. 256 gigabytes unlocked. Is that the early pricing? Because 650 is not bad for the US price. Especially given the tariff situation. Oh, okay, no, don't allow this. Okay, so it's $710 for the 256. Again, though, with 8 gigs of RAM, this is like, I don't see devices in the $700 price range on Android with 8 gigs of RAM. Let's see if they have tech specs. Is that just the charging? Their specs. Okay. The battery. Do they mention that the battery is silicon carbon or? No, they don't mention what technology is based on. I don't think that this is silicon carbon. I don't think Samsung is just going that route. I just think they might have compromised on other stuff inside the device. I'm now really worried because this device is lighter than it was before, even though it has a larger battery. It's thinner than it was before. I'm now wondering, what are the speakers worse? Microphones? Again, haptics? What about overall like build quality? Is the armor aluminum and the Victus glass on the back a lot thinner or something like that? This is really confusing me. Because at least when like the iPad Pro got thinner and lighter, right? We knew what to blame it on. It was the switch from like mini LED to OLED. OLED is thinner, and on the larger iPad Pro, they actually were able to cut the battery a little bit because OLED is way more efficient than mini LED as well. And then on the 11-inch version that had the standard LCD, OLED is still thinner. And I guess a little bit lighter, though obviously not as much as versus the mini LED solution. And they were actually able to increase battery capacity while keeping weight about the same. Makes absolute sense, right? In all directions. What changes they made here? Because they do not advertise new technologies like silicon carbon, no new new screens like LTPO, no. I guess there's nothing in the camera solution that makes this device lighter. I'm just wondering what quality of life stuff has been impacted by this. I guess at least has like 5 gigabits per second USB-C. Knowing Samsung recently, they might have pulled an Apple and giving us USB 2 speeds.
On the S25 because of its smaller size, 4,000 milliamps. And the S25 has 25 watts of wide charging. However, faster charging is supported on the S25 Plus as well as the S25 FE. You've got up to 45 watts of charging. Chargers will not be included out of the box. And all devices do support up to 15 watts of...
Oh, so wait, did they make charging faster? I did not see that in the tech specs. I guess that's good that we are now finally up from 25 watts. Did you get that correctly, that tech spec? They do not mention that here? Yeah, they do not mention wattage, unfortunately, here. I guess I could check out the S24 FE with tech specs. How fast did that charge? Okay, Riley's saying it's 45 watts. Okay, so the S24 FE was 25 watts. So I guess that's an improvement. I guess that makes sense, right? I mean, it is a larger battery, so you kind of don't want to compromise it. Samsung already is not that great at maintaining 45 watts. And when you consider that it has a larger vapor chamber, that makes sense, right? Like, would be disappointing almost if it didn't have at least like some kind of form of faster charging, at least like a rounded up 30 watts. Yeah, but it's still also confusing because Samsung sometimes advertises certain tech specs, but then doesn't come close to actually reaching them. And then they just create confusing configurations like 512 gigabytes with 8 gigs of RAM. At least make this configuration have 12 gigs of RAM to work with. Whatever.
Wireless charging. There is Qi2 supported on all devices with a compatible case.
Okay,
and
so
that
it's not magnets like the Pixel 10 series, unfortunately.
Brings me on to the price. So the S25 FE will be retailing from £649 in the UK. That's for the base 128GB model. If we compare this to the launch prices of the S25 and S25 Plus,
yeah, this device really shouldn't come in 128 gigabyte configurations anymore, especially given that for on-device AI, these models are getting kind of big, especially once you count all of them up. Like, for example, on the Pixel 10, you have like that 100x zoom AI that's like an extra gigabyte, which is fine. I'm not complaining about that. But like, that really makes 128 gigabyte configurations, especially for anything at $800 and above. Obviously, 800 pounds is way worse. 800 British pounds in USD. That's $1,076. So that's way more than any difference in value-added tax or something like that.
S25 did start at £800, which is around £150 more compared to the S25 FE. And the S25 Plus started at around £1,000. Now that is for the 256GB model. So that would make it around £300 more compared to the S25 FE. Now, we do have to remember that the S25 and the S25 Plus have been out for 6 months. So if we just compared the launch prices, the S25 FE might seem like a good option, a slightly cut down.
And again, in that price range, it should be a no-brainer at that point to be getting an S24 or S24 Plus, right? But because of the weird software disparity, even though they have the same processor, right, as the same Exynos 2400 as the base S24 and S24 Plus, but because Samsung treats their software updates this weirdly, now I'm not actually sure. Unless like you can get an S24 Plus, I guess for like $200 less or something like that.
Version of the S25 Plus at a significantly lower price. However, because the S25 and the S25 Plus have been out for a while, I just had a look at the pricing right now. So at the time of this video, you can go onto Amazon and you can buy the S25 256GB model directly from Amazon with all of the warranty and everything for $700.
And that's actually the exact MSRP for the 256GB version that we just looked at, right? Oh, that's in pounds.
£9. So just £9 more compared to the equivalent S25 FE 256 model. And if we look at the S25 Plus right now on Amazon, you can buy it brand new with all of the warranties directly from Amazon.
And this is a way better product. Like, not only is it an 8 Elite and a similarly large screen, with a similarly sized battery, which means it will actually give you better battery. But at this point, it will also have better cooling to match. It will have better cameras across the board. Maybe the main camera is similar, but then everything else is just better. The 8 Elite might also have just the better image signal processor to run it all. You're also getting priority in software updates. Usually, sure, sometimes the FE might get like the latest version that it just concurrently comes out with, but that's really more the exception than the rule. Once the device is actually out, and then the years going forward, the FE gets a reduced priority versus the regular flagship. And again, just the difference of 50% more memory, given it's Android, given the amount of AI features that are being packed into this, it's really huge.
£799, so just £100 more compared to the 256 equivalent of the S25 FE. Now, considering these factors, it does become a lot harder to justify the price of the S25 FE.
True.
Because it has the chip that's from the Galaxy S24. And if we do look at the price of the S24, right now, for the 128GB model, you can pick it up for £550 on Amazon. Of course, if you don't mind getting a refurbished or renewed model, then you're going to be paying even less. So based on the current pricing, if you ask me, then I would personally just spend £9 more and get the S25. Granted, you're going to get a smaller battery and a smaller screen, but you are going to be getting a better display as well as the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. And
true, it's not just the 8 Elite that's going to be more efficient because it's TSMC 3nm. It's a new architecture, uses faster, more memory, but also the screen is going to be more efficient because it's LTPO versus LTPS. It's also going to make it smoother for gaming, or at least for even just adapting properly to the refresh rate of like a 24 FPS movie or something like that.
If you ask me, I wouldn't mind paying the £100 more and getting the equivalent S25 Plus with the better processor, better screen, better cameras, and better overall package. Now, granted, because the S25 FE is just released, you will get better pre-order deals. I believe you can get the Watch 7 for free. When you consider that, that might be a good deal for you. But I do believe that the S25 FE should have started at around $550 or even at a push at £600. And I do think the price is going to reduce over the coming months.
Yeah, but then at that point, it also makes you wait, which at that point with Samsung usually means that the product is generally less valuable because of the inconsistent software updates for non-flagships and stuff like that. It also means now Apple is now fully out there with a new lineup. It means that devices now powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite 2 or 8 Elite Gen 5 are out there, pushing down the device. The price of devices that have the original Snapdragon 8 Elite. Jonathan saying it probably best, saying this is a weird device. And I believe because of your super chat, you're the #1 yapper today, even before Riley. Even at work. I hope you're not getting too distracted from work. But yeah, it's definitely a weird little one. And I'd call it little one because it is, I guess, thinner and lighter than it was before. So I've already covered some Apple stuff here, of course. I've covered LLM Siri. This is coming from Mark Gurman. Again, I am waiting for a big Mark Gurman drop this week and will react to it. We'll react to it once it drops. New iPhone 17, kind of like broader specs, like better cooling, larger battery, more stable frame rate, stuff like that, coming from Instant Digital. Covered all of that before the event started. We do have some other small rumors and small piece of news. The Instagram app just launched for iPad. Took them 15 years. It's not a great app. Like, the user interface is not really that iPad optimized. There's a lot of empty space. Like, there's no way to have like a 2-column view or something like that. Like, you can have separate columns for like your settings and your contacts, whatever, but not to actually like view multiple photos at once. But hey, if you're a Facebook user, Instagram user, there you go. Then AirPods Pro 3, this is a little bit of a correction to one of my previous streams where I mentioned a lot of the new spec points, but actually forgot to mention a crucial new one, which might even be 2 ones, which is that AirPods Pro 3 could come with new health sensors, including stuff for heart rate monitoring, which is, of course, in the latest Beats already. The Power Beats Pro 2, but also potentially temperature sensing. Now, these features might not be too attractive for Apple Watch owners, but if maybe you only have an iPhone and AirPods, that will now be an extra way for you to get an overview over your health without buying a separate product for it. And of course, with AirPods, you do have to keep them in the ears for that, so that makes them less usable in a way than like an Apple Watch that you can always wear on your wrist. But I guess it's better than not having it, though of course it raises the question if Apple is gonna raise the prices to include this. I've already predicted that Apple might increase prices to like $280 because AirPods go on sale so much. I wouldn't be surprised because the $250 MSRP right now is honestly more of like $150 to $170 pricing if you go by Amazon and other websites. And that's because AirPods, of course, are sold for significantly longer than like an iPhone, right? AirPods Pro 3 will be with us for probably at least like 3 years or so, similar to the AirPods Pro 2 launched 3 years ago. So if you are considering buying new AirPods, that will have to be a consideration for you as well. And this is honestly one thing where I'll also be actually able to provide you with data, because if AirPods Pro launch together with the new iPhone, I'm buying them. I've wanted new AirPods for a while. I want them with USB-C. I have the original AirPods Pro 2 that still have Lightning. So this will be a nice upgrade for me. Usually we don't do too many reviews, too many unboxings on this channel, because obviously I'm not buying every Apple product that launches. But that would now mean new iPhone, new AirPods, some of the new cases, not all of the new cases, obviously. But I do want to see how tech woven compares to like leather or something like that. So I might do an unboxing for that. I'm really curious about the new clear cases, which look like shit. I'm actually not sure if I've reacted to that in the past on this channel. Apple clear case. I don't think I've actually reacted to this. Why is there no news? Why is news, and why do you have for 2 extra tabs and a more tab? Jesus. Yeah, so this is supposedly how Apple's new clear cases look. This is one rare example where I will just say this looks like shit. This is completely unnecessary. Now this kind of confirms that two-tone look on the back, because I don't think Apple would be doing this if there wasn't like a differently looking portion of the back behind it, which kind of confirms the switch to kind of like a unibody aluminum chassis plus some glass cutout for the magnets for wireless charging, for better radio frequency transparency and stuff like that. But that's not how you deal with that. For one, I now profoundly disagree with the new placement of the Apple logo. I think Apple should have just kept it right in the middle. At that point, it would actually be slightly elevated inside this new rectangle. But then again, slightly elevated is the historical look of the Apple logo. That's how it was up until like what, the iPhone 11 series or something like that. So yeah, definitely not a fan of these clear cases. I might buy one just for like review reasons, just so I can feel it. Maybe this is a different feeling material. Maybe it's designed to reduce like how slippery this is or whatever. But I'm definitely not a fan of the overall look. This is a leak also coming thanks to Maj and Boo, similar to the leaks we've covered in the past about Apple's tech woven cases and Apple's body strap that's supposedly coming with these cases. Yikes, but this is really... The problem is that this one doesn't actually look too bad. But then the question also is, how does it clash with like the upcoming blue and orange iPhone Pros, right? How does it clash with the completely black iPhone model? Yeah, it's really, really weird, at least in my opinion. You can let me know what you think of this. Definitely not excited about this new clear case. Well, to be honest, I am excited to learn about it, but definitely not excited for using it myself. Then there's a report about the first iPhone with all-screen display coming supposedly next year. That's, of course, interesting because we are expecting a redesign more for 2027. But the main thing that we're talking about here is actually the iPhone Fold, not the main series iPhone. And the report says that Apple's iPhone Fold will have an under-display 24-megapixel front camera. It's expected to include front cameras on both the outer display, which would be here, and its inner display, which most manufacturers place around here. As a result, it seems likely that Apple will put the selfie camera in both locations. Well, yeah. If JP Morgan is right, this would be the first time an iPhone utilized under-display camera technology. It's also notable that this device would have a hard time doing dynamic island. I guess here, right? But would you put it right here where potentially still might be a little bit of a crease? So that will be interesting. But obviously, previous under-display cameras have suffered for quality reasons. In fact, Samsung went back from an under-display camera on the Z Fold 6 to just a regular cutout on the Z Fold 7. Now, the Fold won't have any Face ID component, so that would, if it is an under-display camera, that would actually give it a full screen look, right? And the reason why it won't have Face ID is because it's likely going to have Touch ID in the power button or just somewhere on the side, something like that. I assume it's going to be the power button because that's how Apple handles Touch ID on devices like the base iPad, iPad mini, iPad Air. With no cutout for a camera and, of course, no cutout for Face ID on a device that doesn't have Face ID, we could be looking at truly all-screen displays. Obviously, with this case being both a front and a back screen and an internal screen, we'll have to see. It should be noted that we've, of course, heard about full-screen iPhones, but for a while. But those actually said that the sensors for Face ID would be going. I'm sorry, that's my adapter for my Ethernet. I don't know why I've put it in a way where I can kick it today. But those rumors actually refer to Face ID sensors going under the screen, not the camera. In fact, cameras really, even by very reputable leakers like Ross Young, who has unfortunately retired, though he did retire in the past and did come back, so hopefully he'll come back again. But like the leaks and rumors about like under-display cameras have been really, really pushed back and back, basically saying, oh, the tech is just not as ready as something. Apple is also seeing what's going wrong with Samsung and whatever. So the fact that the camera might actually be going first under display rather than Face ID is interesting. And the fact that it's happening for the Fold a year before the main iPhone series, supposedly is getting a big redesign in 2027. That's also interesting, but also makes it a little bit questionable. That being said, I did want to cover that. I think today is a perfect day to cover some smaller leaks and rumors here and there, just because the main focus of the actual stream was, of course, the Samsung event. And last, but certainly not least for Apple's finances, is that Google had a new ruling in their antitrust case. And that one is extremely beneficial to Google, first and foremost, because it says they don't actually have to sell off Chrome, but also very beneficial to Google and their partners, because it says that Google is allowed to keep paying partners for a preference spot for Google Search or Gemini or whatever other service, which, of course, for Apple is roughly like a $20 billion check per year. And even like Mozilla, which makes Firefox, gets like $500 million a year from Google. I have talked about this deal in the past between Apple and Google, saying that it's the one really antitrust, really anti-competitive thing that I think Apple is involved in. I have always disagreed with the idea that the App Store is extremely anti-competitive and extremely antitrust or shit like that. But this is a deal I actually disliked, and I hope that courts would actually take away that money from Apple, so Apple might find different revenue sources, might become more aggressive in the services space, might actually offer their own search engine or something like that. But alas, they do not. Which I should also say, I do not want Apple to make a regular search engine to compete with Google search or Bing or whatever, but something like the new knowledge feature, that world knowledge feature that we discussed in the beginning of the stream for Siri, like I would like to see that, and then that expand over the years. Benveni rejoining the chat. I assume you are on break at work or something like that, saying, Mark, what did they announce? Well, they announced the Galaxy S25 FE, and they announced 2 tablets. Honestly, the tablets are so boring. I kind of even didn't look up their specs or anything again. I guess I could. Mobile Galaxy Tab. So that's the Tab S11? What? It's not on the website yet? It literally, when I click here, wasn't it like here? Learn more. But it's apparently not. Jesus Christ. Compare. Okay, so the S-Tab 11. Okay. So first, with the tablet, they actually made it just as thick as or just as thin as the 13-inch iPad. It's a bit heavier, but that's because it has a larger screen. They do start with 256 gigs of storage, which is funny. And they do start with 12 gigs of RAM, which is more than Apple's 8 gigs of RAM, but it's a weird distinction. Like, in my opinion, you should just combine it with 16 gigabytes and just reduce complexity. You should also probably just make it 16 gigabytes, 512, and then maybe 1 terabyte version. If you really want to get crazy, you could give it 24 gigs of memory or something like that, or just make it 1 terabyte. S Pen with the new design. Should be noted that they barely changed anything about it. They just changed the design, so it's not like super feature rich like the Apple Pencil Pro. Best feature that I actually didn't know Samsung was doing, apparently even on like the S10, so that's my bad, is IP68, but that unfortunately also takes away from actual year-on-year improvements. I actually thought this was a new thing. And unfortunately here, I actually thought that the battery capacities were kind of interesting, but this is actually, like, I know this is like a 700 milliampere hour improvement, which would be great on smartphones, but this is on a device that has like a 2.2-inch larger screen than the S10 Plus. Can I change one of those products for the S10 Ultra? The Tab S11 Ultra? Jesus Christ. Compare. Okay, display. Outdoor brightness of 1000 nits. So that's what Apple promises. But then again, Samsung's display brightness promises never turn out to be correct. They're matching here what Apple is promising. This is not a tandem OLED screen. Oh, it's a 3-nanometer MediaTek chipset. Oh, no wonder they didn't talk about. Wait, which one is it? Is it the Dimensity 9400? You have to mention what it actually has, right? You cannot just leave it like that. You cannot just say it's 3-nanometer. What's the cost? They said it starts at $11.99. Okay, which this makes it cheaper than the iPad Pro. But then again, a MediaTek Dimensity 9400 versus an M4 chip, like this is, and yeah, you can save like some money by buying it right now. Really, they usually charge $300 for more storage here. That's actually weird. For like Apple charges $200 to go from 512 to 1 terabyte on Max. On the iPad they charge $400, but that's because they also doubled the RAM once you go up from 512. What? Really? Those are those are not great deals. Like, who would buy this over like a good Windows tablet? Like, I guess the one upside over the iPad that kind of gives you like $100 to $130 more value is that the S Pen here is included. But it's not like the S Pen is as good, especially now that they've cut off some features. Wait, did they cut features? Because I still saw the button here. I don't know. This is a chat that I read during the. I assume that's here during productivity. Okay, so it does have features like that. So it's not entirely Bluetooth free, or unless it's like only working in like close proximity. I'm actually not sure. How's this design different? Slimmer and lighter. Blah blah blah. Are S Pen and accessories like the Galaxy Book covers supported? What? Of course it is. How durable? Okay, can I just please see the new S Pen? That's the problem by them bundling it in. They don't give it the same attention as like Apple does with their S Pen, which obviously is separate. Because Apple wants you to buy it for good money. So they have to make it good. They have to advertise it properly. Mobile appliances, audio accessories, Galaxy Tab accessories. What do we have? Oh, we have those stupid covers. It's funny, they don't even make like they make like that keyboard cover, right? But they don't even have like a cover with like with a touchpad on it. Wait, this one is. This one has to be, right? At $300, $350. Okay, it has a hinge on the back. And yeah, okay, so it's a proper Magic Keyboard competitor. So I assume that one just isn't like yet available for the S11. But they have these other accessories. Did they really not update this? Or is this one compatible with both? Oh my God, Samsung, what is up? Like, some people say Apple's accessory lineup is confusing, but at least Apple updates its information right away after an event. Jesus. Yeah, and the S Pen for the tab is not separate. Oh God, I'm really not liking the tablet, especially not for like over $1,000. What's the pricing on the base version? Okay, that was has thicker bezels. That's fine. $800 for 256 gigabytes. Usually $860. I mean, that doesn't really fare too well versus the iPad Air pricing wise. It will have a way better screen than the iPad Air. It's 120 hertz. This is OLED, right? No way this is not OLED. I would lose my shit. But again, M3 processor actually at this point versus what I assume is also a MediaTek like 9400. I might actually have to see what was in the Tab S10 Ultra. What were the tech specs over here? So, okay, so that one had 14.6 inches already. It's slightly lower pixel density than on the iPad, which is around 264. It had a Dimensity 9300 plus. So this could be like a Dimensity 9400 plus. Okay. I guess that's something, but that's really no competitor. And versus this one, the battery is slightly larger with 11600 versus 11200. Given that they made the device overall thinner, though, this one was like 5.4 millimeters. Now it's 5.1. And they actually made the battery a little bit larger, so that's nice. I mean, they could have given it better charging speeds, but I guess it could be worse. Yeah, it's definitely not the most exciting product, especially for the money, but I guess, and I've said it now a few times, it could be worse. This was really not an exciting announcement. Oh, the S24 Ultra was actually benchmarked. It's clocked at 3.73 instead of 3.63, so it's the 9400 plus. And in Geekbench, okay, I assume those were just pre-release. Charlie's Tech Trains 101 rejoining the chat because I am still on, but I am slowly wrapping this up. So guys, feel free to ask me your last questions or whatever. But yeah, this is not a benchmark that I assume is too representative because which device has also the Dimensity 9400 Plus? Or let's just look at the Dimensity 9400, right? The Vivo X200 Ultra, that one has what? A Dimensity 9400, right? No way I'm unable to read this. Platform. Oh no, it has the 8 Elite. So it's the regular Vivo X200 that has it's the X200 Pro, right? That has the Dimensity 9400. Yeah. Okay, so let's actually look at the review here. Software and performance. So multi-core, pretty similar to the A18 Pro. And yeah, you could see that it was delivering already close to 2,800 points in single core. So clocked a little bit higher should put it comfortably over 2,800, maybe around 2,850 or so. Very high-end Tutu scores because the Dimensity 9400 actually has a pretty good GPU. Yeah. So in that regard, it's actually outperforming, at least in benchmarks, the 8 Elite. So this is, again, why I'm really against what Google is doing with their Tensor chips by employing a GPU that has absolutely no reference point in the rest of the industry. While the rest is Adreno, some are Immortalis, that's basically the off-the-shelf GPU design that's provided by ARM. I have no idea why they wouldn't use that. Does the Galaxy Tab Ultra have more RAM than iPad Pro? Yes, by default, the iPad Pro M4 unfortunately comes with 8 gigs of RAM, but it goes up to 16 gigabytes on the 1 and 2 terabyte models, while the Tab S Ultra comes with 12 gigabytes on the lower end configurations and then 16 gigabytes on the higher end configuration. So the high end is similar. The low end is higher than the iPad. Though, of course, we are soon getting the M5 iPad Pro, and I wouldn't actually be surprised if Apple just standardized 16 gigabytes of RAM on the iPad Pro, similar to what they've done with the Macs that were universally actually upgraded to 16 gigabytes of base memory across the M4, the M3, the M2, all the devices that are still being sold. Yeah, but beyond that, guys, let me know. Did I miss anything? Did like a review come out that is really worth watching, like a Pixel review or something like that? Base iPhone 17 Pro could cost $200 more. Yeah, this is bullshit. Wait, the base model. Wait, how is that $200 more? But the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max are set to get price hikes, albeit with a minimum storage boost for the Pro model. Yeah, that's $100 more expensive. That's not $200 more expensive. Yeah, so this is just something they got wrong in the headline. We've had some people speculate that it's going to be $50 more expensive, but I don't know. iPhone 17 Air to start at $1099 with 200. Is that an actual like leak, or is that like speculation? TrendForce, because they do like research. They don't do leaks, do they? iPhone 17 series shipments to edge up in 2025 with Air model driving product line shakeups, says TrendForce. Apple is set to unveil 4 flagship devices, the iPhone 17, 17 Air, which is a tentative name, I agree, 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. Beyond a refreshed design, the new lineup will feature enhancements in processor performance, thermal management, image capabilities, I would also add battery life, all of which are expected to help stimulate demand. TrendForce projects that total shipments of the iPhone 17 series will rise by 3.5% compared with the iPhone 16 lineup in 2024, with the Pro series remaining the main sales driver. That also makes sense. However, sluggish global economic conditions and the potential for higher prices on premium models may temper overall demand. Should be noted that a lot of the price increase reasons would come from something like the tariffs. Is the Galaxy Tab have a better camera? It does have a dual camera now, while the iPad Pro did cut down. But overall, no, not really. The main cameras are pretty comparable. Plus, the iPad generally has a better ISP in that regard. That being said, please don't use a 13-inch iPad Pro or a 14.6-inch Galaxy Tab S Ultra to capture photos and videos during a concert. Is Apple going to fix Apple Intelligence for iPhone 17? LLM Siri is coming early next year, by like April or so. The introduction of the 17 Air signals Apple's official entry into the thin and light flagship category, yet the Air may fall short of satisfying consumers who prioritize large batteries and high-end photography. True. Reduced battery capacity, only one camera. TrendForce expects initial shipments for the Air to align with historical levels of the Plus series. This is an analysis. This is not, well, obviously they cannot have leaks for sales predictions, but yeah. A19 processor, 12 gigs of RAM. The Air model will use a silicon anode battery and an eSIM configuration to balance slimness with endurance. Should be noted silicon anode and carbon cathode battery, right? That's what silicon carbon is about. Notably, the entire iPhone 17 series will see major camera upgrades, front camera 24 megapixel, telephoto going 48 megapixels. The Pro models will have blah, blah, blah. That's okay. That's just leak. In terms of pricing, the base iPhone 17 model is expected to hold last year's levels. That's interesting because that's the model that I would expect actually also to increase given the tariffs, right? Like 25, potentially 30, 50% tariffs. Granted, we do not know if the tariffs might be annulled in the next few months. Trump already lost in the appeals court for that, so that just leaves the Supreme Court to decide. Air and Pro and Max will see increases of $50 to $100. How is the Air seeing a price increase? It didn't exist before. The Air's price point is expected to compete there. Okay, this is not the leak. This is just them projecting something. How thin is the 17 Air? It's 5.5 millimeters. 5.5, 5.6. It's not always 100% exact when you have dummy models. How much money is the Air? No idea. It was predicted, and I honestly think that would be a more correct prediction, that it would be $900-ish to maybe $1,000 base price. $900 if it is still more, if it is 128 gigabytes, $1,000 maybe if it's more 256 gigabytes, again, plus minus $50 because of bullshit like tariffs. Now, this one is saying it will compete directly with the S25 Edge, which starts at $1,100 and thus far has really been an underwhelming seller. So I really don't know how they're getting this. Plus, while the S25 Edge is a thin product, it does have dual cameras, it does have a notably larger battery, and it has stereo speakers, which the Air is supposedly not using. It might not have a bottom speaker, but instead might have a much larger front earpiece. So there's a lot of cost cutting that's happening in the Air that did not happen with the S25 Edge. So I'm really wondering how Apple would justify pricing it at $1,099. This to me just seems like it's a prediction and not an actual leak. This is a forecast based on nothing. In fact, it kind of goes against more recent leaks and rumors by people like Mark Gurman. When we initially got leaks for the 17 Air, it said that it would be more of like a premium model. In fact, some said it might have been more expensive than the Pro Max, starting at like $1299 or so. But then people actually came around saying, no, it's more of a replacement for the Plus, just with a slightly different form factor. In fact, when you think about certain specifications, sure, it has an LTPO screen, sure, it has more memory and stuff like that, but it does, for example, not have even the same screen size as the Plus. It has a single camera versus a dual camera, has noticeably smaller battery. I don't know how Apple would justify it suddenly being $200 more expensive than the Plus, even $100 more expensive than the Plus. If we normalize for the 256 gigabytes, that's still too much, unless it's literally just the impact of tariffs. But Apple thus far has been pretty good at evading a lot of the impact of tariffs. So this is not an actual leak or rumor. This is an analysis, a prediction. Is Apple copying Google with the camera bar? I don't think so. I honestly think that Apple was just looking to do something different. And there is only so much that you can do. If there's one product in the lineup where the camera bar looks very similar to Google, I would also argue it's more of the Air, while the Pros have a still very distinct look, still have that triangular setup for the actual cameras. What's the website that I'm naming? This is TrendForce directly, and I got the link from the latest Mac Rumors articles that summarize what they wrote. It's the Air just a Plus iPhone? No. It is heavily compromised in some ways, more premium in others. One thing that, for example, we do not know is when it comes to the main camera specification, for example, the Plus and the base model have a 1/1.56 inch sensor, right? But at least this has a pretty decent f1.6 aperture. This might get the full 1/1.28. Who knows? Maybe Apple even goes with a larger sensor this year around. As the Pros. So while it might not get an ultra-wide, definitely ain't getting a telephoto, its main camera might actually be closer to the Pros than it is to the base models. That's also something that Samsung did with the Galaxy S25 Edge. They did put in the exact same 200 megapixel sensor, but because the optics are still a little bit thinner than they are in the S25 Ultra, the end result are slightly softer images. Ebu Bekir Kaptan, I assume, I apologize if I mispronounce your name. Hi, don't remember seeing you in the chat. Welcome. We have been long finished with Samsung stuff, just warning anybody who might still be joining. We are basically entirely back to Apple talk because the upcoming Apple event is in 5 days. In fact, it's in 5 days, 5 hours, and 44 minutes, just to let you know, guys. And guys, we've been streaming for over 2 hours. If you're enjoying this and you haven't yet done so, subscribe, like, share, comment, consider leaving a super chat, super sticker, consider becoming a channel member here on YouTube or a supporter over on Patreon. So let's see. Yeah, so the pricing predictions here are just, they're based on nothing, unfortunately. I would have loved to see some actual leaks, but I think this is more like an analysis by like analysts. Oh my God, poor Tim. No, Tim. And a new Trump AI event and Tim has to be there. Jesus Christ. How much can this man take? Jesus Christ. MacBook Air versus MacBook Pro, Wall Street Journal. Okay, so there are no new leaks or rumors that I've missed. I did talk about now the Google-Apple deal that will now be allowed to stay. So Apple will keep their huge revenue source. And based on that, of course, certain like stock analysis companies, banks and whatever are now upgrading both the value of Google stock because not only is Google allowed to keep those deals, but Google is also allowed to, of course, keep Chrome. which there was a risk of them being forced to sell off Chrome. And of course, Apple is allowed to keep a pretty good deal for themselves too, and it will also have repercussions down the line for when they get like access to Google Gemini inside Siri. They might make Gemini now compete for attention with the integrated ChatGPT. Apple could actually be playing those companies against each other, forcing lower prices, better products for themselves. That's what they've done historically. That's why they usually have multiple manufacturers for certain components. For simpler components like storage, it might be a lot actually. SK Hynix, Micron, whatever, Samsung. The same goes for RAM. But even in the past, when you think, for example, about the main processor, the A9 chip inside the iPhone 6s series, that one was actually manufactured by both TSMC on their 16 nanometer node and by Samsung on, I believe, a 14 nanometer node. A9 chip wiki Apple. Change to English. So this one was, Samsung 14 nanometer and TSMC 16 nanometer. So, and obviously Apple sources displays from Samsung and LG. That's for OLED. They also have like LCD suppliers like Japan Display. They're also trying to make BOE a major supplier for displays because they would offer notably lower prices, which would then push prices by Samsung and LG lower. So Apple could now be playing Google and OpenAI against each other, similar to what they're doing with hardware. So Tim is a good businessman. I'll leave it at that. But beyond all that, I think we are kind of finished. I guess I can look. Did SuperSaf potentially post a camera comparison between the Pixel and the iPhone? Nope. Is there anything new about the Pixel 10 Pro? Like we watched MKBHD's review, but like the rest are just so much smaller. I would love to see the like battery testing and display brightness testing by GSM Arena, but they haven't yet done so. There was some interesting camera comparison stuff, but nothing too crazy. It mostly still behaves like a Pixel 9 Pro. Maybe ever so slightly better, but I would still put it in both stills, but especially in video, behind the iPhone 16 Pro, which of course might give the iPhone 17 Pro a huge leg up, especially since they will fix one of their biggest shortcomings, which is the low resolution and smaller sensor of their telephoto camera. But I think that's now about it. It's now been an almost 2.5 hour stream, which would have made sense if the Samsung event was a lot longer. But hey, I still kept on streaming. We still were able to talk a lot more Apple stuff. Even a little bit of Google stuff and whatever. So that for anybody who's new, who's just joining, who's just enjoying, that's about the vibe that you will get from my streams. Hope you like it. Hope you consider joining the community in the long term, whether it's here or hopefully and on Discord. I left the link in the chat, but you can also find it in the description of this channel. I'll try to add timestamps. I might not be able to because this stream is really fragmented. I might just label where the Samsung stream begins and where we react to the SuperSaf video. But otherwise, I've been jumping a little bit all over the place with different rumors. But usually, just so you know, I leave timestamps so it's easy for you guys to explore the video both live and as a VOD later on. Because of timing reasons, we have a lot of people watching from India and Pakistan, Bangladesh, and stuff like that. I don't know why Google apparently just pushed the algorithm towards those regions, but those people usually watch later in the day. Thank you to anyone who joined. Thank you for having me a lively live chat to engage with today. as I said, I'll be reacting live once we get more leaks and rumors for the iPhone 17 right before the event. And then I'll be reacting live to the actual event next week. And then I'll be giving follow-up coverage. And then, of course, I'll be providing my own review, my own unboxings. So plenty of content to look forward to on the channel. Thank you guys so much. As always, let me know what you would like to see me cover next. For Riley, I'll actually give you a big mark before the end of the stream. And yeah, let me know what else you would like to see me cover next. And I'll see you then. This is Mark Tech, tuning out.